Back at it again with some Montreal Canadiens trade discussion, and this one more so aligns with many of the thoughts that we had been having over the past few weeks. Now, heading into this 2024 offseason, everybody's been kind of expecting, I'm gonna say, and yeah, I'm gonna use that word, expecting, the Montreal Canadiens to have some sort of a trick up their sleeve. Everybody's talking about Kent Hughes. Everybody's talking about young guys. Everybody's talking about the Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook trades from years past and how the Montreal Canadiens could be in the market to attempt something similar, whether it's for a Cole Perfetti, for example, from Winnipeg, 2020 draftee. Whether it's for Kent Johnson, 2021 draftee. Whether it's for Marty Necas, 2017 draftee, a little bit older, but okay, he's in there. Whether it's for another 2019 guy, like Caulfield, like Dach, like Newhook, like Trevor Zegras, for example. But in this video, what we're doing is going over to one of these other guys that is indeed a 2019 drafted prospect, but who hasn't really had the same amount of hype than any of these other guys that we had just mentioned. This is one of the more low-key selections, if you wanted to say that, and it's one of the ones that you wouldn't really think of right off the bat. Our source here is the most recent podcast of Processus. This is a show done with Matthias Broudet. I think it's for The Athletic? No, it's for Commission Athletique. Is that The Athletic? I'm not really too sure. But their most recent episode of the Processes show had Simon Snake Boisvert on as a guest, and I mean, you can see it on the screen. It's a French episode. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and listen to this yourself. But on the Processes show, Boisvert went out there and proposed yet another name that the Montreal Canadiens could target, and one that in his opinion would make a lot of sense. To help us out, we're going over onto this article by Elias Edmondson on HabsFanatics.com, because what Edmondson did was he transcribed the quotes made by Boisvert and translated it so it's a lot easier for us English-speaking folk to listen in. Take a look at the article over here. While all the experts are trying to predict who the next Kirby Dach or Alex Newhook trade will be for Kent Hughes, everyone seems to be talking about Marty Necas. Simon Boisvert has just introduced a new name. Alex Turcotte has been unlucky with injuries, but I think he's someone I might go after, with modest expectations, with a modest offer. Because I've noticed he's a guy who always puts in effort. A player who consistently puts in effort can always become a useful player in your lineup. However, at the moment, we're talking about a support player. Not a complimentary player, but really a support player. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because, of course, it's another name being linked to the Montreal Canadiens, also because Turcotte is an LA King, and I kind of like the Kings a little bit sometimes. Okay, maybe not all the time, especially when they're playing off against the Canucks. But for Alex Turcotte in particular, he's one of the guys that I loved from the 2019 draft. When we were doing the scouting report videos, the Why I Wants back in 2019, Turcotte was always this guy that stood out to me in an underrated way, because he was injured for most of his draft season, but still ended up going top 5. This was a player who, at the time of his draft-eligible year, only had 37 games played with the NTDP, but 62 points on top of that. His goal scoring, his playmaking, they were all great, but what made Turcotte stand out the most was his work ethic. When you compared Turcotte to Jack Hughes, Trevor Zegras, Cole Caulfield, Matt Boldy, and all the other guys on that NTDP squad, Turcotte was the motor. Sure, Jack Hughes had the fastest feet, he had the best stride, and he had the most skating ability, but when it comes to just pure raw dog effort, Turcotte was the number one guy, and it wasn't really close. I'd say that in the 2019 draft, the top work ethic guys you could label out as Podkolzin, Turcotte, Krebs, in no particular order, but those guys were near the top of the crop for me. And as Turcotte's career has gone on, he's been derailed by multiple injuries over and over again. He keeps on getting concussed, he keeps on getting plummeted to the ice. It's so unfortunate to see how Turcotte's career has gone, but as a result, he wasn't able to really get significant NHL playing time, nor a significant NHL role. This previous season, at 23 years old, 22 turning 23 years old, Turcotte had only 20 games played with the LA Kings and 4 points. He had 29 points in 35 games with the AHL's Ontario Reign, which is great. It's nice to see him almost achieving that point per game mark. but it has been a while for Turcotte, and when you compare him to some of the other guys in that 2019 draft that were taken all around him, I mean, Bowen Byram is a top 4 defenseman for Buffalo now. You have Seider, who is a number 1 defenseman in Detroit. Cousins is awesome. Broberg just scored a goal in the Stanley Cup Finals, and then you have Trevor Zegras and all the other guys underneath. I mean, Boldy, Spencer Knight, Cam York, Caulfield, Newhook. They've all overtaken Alex Turcotte in terms of NHL projectability today. Never mind the next few years, but just right now, Turcotte is inferior to a lot of these players, and it's not really his fault. It's just a product of the development that he has gone through and the unfortunate luck with injuries. However, this opens the door for some sort of a revival. If Alex Turcotte is in a position to get traded, if the LA Kings decide that he needs a change of scenery, then maybe a Montreal Canadiens squad that already has his buddy in Cole Caulfield could come knocking on the door. Whether or not Turcotte would be in the market to get moved is a total other thing, and honestly, just based off of my limited interactions with LA Kings fans all over the web, it seems more so like the idea of trading him away isn't that bad at this point. I mean, if you had asked to trade Alex Turcotte 5 years ago when he was a 5th overall pick, yeah, nobody would have said anything. No, why would you do that? But now it's been so many years of ups and downs and developmental issues and him getting hurt and not really progressing as a result that now it seems more like an apathetic kind of response when you ask, hey, do you think Alex Turcotte could get traded? It's like, okay, yeah, if he does, then whatever, hope it improves the team. It's one of these things where when you think about the LA Kings and where they are right now, they kind of need more goal scoring. They need to get out of that 1-3-1. They need to find a system in place that allows them to capitalize on the offensive talent of guys they already have. The Kopitars, the Fialas, the Byfields, whatever. They just need to find a way to break past their own systems. And an Alex Turcotte getting added on in 2024, 2025 won't really move the needle all too much. He still needs some extra time before he's fully NHL capable, I would say, too. So at this point, with the LA Kings trying to keep that window open for as long as they can while Doughty and Kopitar are still here, the need and the desire to have Alex Turcotte develop and become a player for this team right now, it's not really there. So if the LA Kings could trade away a guy like Turcotte, get maybe a player that can help them out right now in exchange, then maybe it would be beneficial. Maybe they could get somebody to help out in the middle to bottom 6 because Alex Turcotte unfortunately just did not show off much in that role. Sure, he scored a few points, he had scored a few goals, but it wasn't really too significant. And if he's given a better opportunity with some other team that's a little younger, that has more friends of his, like Montreal, for example, maybe that's what he needs. Maybe for the Montreal Canadiens, they say, hey, Christian Dvorak, we don't need this guy anymore. We're going to trade him away. We're going to put some other guys, younger players, in his spot. Alex Turcotte, can you be a third-line center at the NHL level next year? If you can't, okay, that's fine, we'll drop you to the 4th line, but we want you to get that experience. And you'll do it alongside of your buddy Cole, hanging out and just doing whatever young kids in your early 20s do nowadays, just so you're a lot more familiar and okay with this environment. We also got Marty St. Louis who can help out young guys, and that's exactly what you might need in this respect. So, honestly, the idea of Turcotte to Montreal is one of the ones that I like a lot. Maybe I'm just looking at this with rose-tinted glasses, remembering all the great things that he had done with the NTDP, remembering that he was the best forward outside of Jack Hughes on that squad. He was the most complete, most compete, and most aggressive forward out of that bunch, and he was really good on top of that. So, maybe I'm looking at this with tinted glasses thinking that he's going to be able to replicate that at the NHL level, but this was a guy who at some point throughout his career people said he could have been a top-line center. In fact, he was supposed to go 3rd overall in the eyes of most NHL scouts and TV people. The Chicago Blackhawks were very much publicly in the market for a center, and Alex Turcotte is from Chicago, so when they passed up on Turcotte to take Doc, a lot of people were shocked, only for the LA Kings to snag him up 2 picks later after the Colorado Avalanche selected Bowen Byram. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Montreal Canadiens potentially acquiring Alex Turcotte. Do you think this is a good idea? Let me know in the comments section. Do you like it? Do you not? And what is the price that you would give up for a guy like Turcotte? LA Kings fans, this is an interesting question because you probably do want roster players, but the Montreal Canadiens, I don't really know if they have too many of those to give up, unless it's like a Christian Dvorak or whatever. Let's say Turcotte and another pick for Christian Dvorak or something like that. Honestly, I feel like that might be a good trade for both sides, but that's just me spitting off the top of my head. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99, and bye.